the United States is preparing for Iranian military action, retaliatory attacks, as a result of the U.S. preparing to attack Iran. And we're hearing that the negotiations taking place tomorrow, Friday, they're likely going to fail. Take a look at the latest headlines with me so you can see it for yourself. The U.S. and Iran, they agree on holding talks, but they don't agree on much else. The two sides remain at odds over what will even be discussed in Oman. Talks are on the brink, why Iran and the U.S. negotiations inspire very little confidence. This coming out from the Iranian international news. Also, Israel estimates there is a slim prospect for U.S.-Iran agreement in Oman talks. We're hearing already they are saying they anticipate these talks are going to fail and we are going to end up in attacks. Now, Kushner and Witkoff to lead the U.S.-Iran talks in Oman. This is Trump's son-in-law. Arab allies still on edge ahead of U.S.-Iran talks. Hope their warnings have broken through. We're hearing the Middle East is concerned that things are about to get messy. The U.S. may soon strike Iran. Here's why that's a big deal. Missile barrages and cyber operations. Iran outlines multi-front war plan against the United States. We're hearing there could be cyber attacks, missile attacks, an assortment of different warnings coming out. And as we know, Iranian sleeper cells and warnings coming out from the Pentagon of attacks on the U.S. homeland. Now, Trump says that Iran's supreme leader should be very worried right now ahead of the U.S.-Iranian talks. Hope for U.S.-Iran talks shaken by drone and gunboats and new demands. We're hearing that, yes, in the past couple of days, there have been a lot of issues, a lot of tension building surrounding the United States and Iran. And Iran agrees to discuss proxy terror, ballistic missile arsenal in the U.S. negotiations. And they don't want us involved, though, Trump says. Trump says that Iran will negotiate because it is afraid of war with the United States, which we're hearing is likely right around the corner. And take a look at this. Satellite images revealed the buildup of the U.S. fighter jets and missile defenses ahead of the U.S.-Iran nuclear talks. We're hearing that what is being seen right now from space is massive. We're hearing that right now all over. The United States has that armada, that flotilla, Trump said, that is ready to attack. And take a look at this. Iran unveils missile threat. As U.S. talks begin, Israeli officials say Trump is not going to blink. Man, let me know your thoughts. And almost all of these articles coming out today within the last 24 hours, February the 5th, 2026. Things are getting tense right now. Tomorrow are the talks, and we're going to be seeing where we go from here. And I'm going to play for you some video footage where they're saying Trump is not going to operate the same way Obama did and let this drag out forever. They said he is going to need some answers right away, and if not, he is going to attack. And we're hearing that Israel believes it, Iran believes it, Saudi Arabia, all of the nations in the Middle East are concerned. We're about to enter into war right now because as we're going into these talks, it looks like there is no agreement on anything except for the fact that they're going to talk. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are we about to enter into war? We're hearing that this could break out into a regional war, and Trump has said if we don't get an agreement on your nuclear materials, we're going to find out if it breaks out into a regional war because we will strike. And we're hearing the U.S. is preparing for a strike and is preparing for a retaliatory strike back from Iran. So we're hearing that things are about to break out here in the Middle East. Now, if you think we're going to war, drop war in the comments. If you think we're going to have peace, put peace. Let me know your thoughts, but I'm about to get you caught up on the latest so that way you know exactly what is going on. And we're going to watch a lot of video footage and articles that have been coming out just today. Now, before we dive in, do me a quick favor. If you appreciate the updates, please take a second, hit that thumbs up like button for me. I see we got about almost 1,500 people live with me in the room. If we can get the like button up to about 700. If you haven't done so yet, half of the room hitting it really helps out while we're live streaming on YouTube. Subscribe to stay up to date if this is your first time here. I'll keep you up to speed on everything, pretty much doing updates every single day now with all the stuff going on, and I cite all the sources. I'm going to put it on the screen, read right from it, play for you the video footage, hyperlink it in the description so you click it, go read it for yourself. Know, rest assured that this is the latest information that is coming out here. And again, if you appreciate that, hit the like button, check out the articles down below. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in, and let's just start off with some video footage. This coming out from Fox News just simply says the U.S. is prepared for Iran's military action. So we're hearing not only is the U.S. prepared to attack, but the U.S. anticipates we are going to be attacked back, and they are getting prepared for that. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Should the supreme leader in Iran be worried right now?
I would say he should be very worried, yeah, he should be. As you know, they're negotiating with us. They were thinking about starting a new site in a different part of the country. We found out about it. I said, you do that, we're going to do very bad things to you.
Yeah, that's the latest from the president yesterday, speaking with NBC News. So let's take a quick look at what's at stake and who the players are in the Middle East now, where we could be looking at another conflict. First off, 2 incidents happened 2 days ago. First off, the Iranian boats threatened a tanker. We have a merchant ship, and it was told to pull over, we're boarding you. You know what they did? They went faster straight ahead. You know what they got? Naval relief, and that fast boat was pushed away. And then they sent a Shahed drone. It was picked up heading towards USS Abraham Lincoln. It was knocked out of the sky. It's a one-way drone. They're almost on a suicide. They're suicide drones, not to come back. And it was knocked out of the sky. What was the point of that? We'll discuss it in a moment. Who are the players in the region and what do they stand for? Well, there's going to be talks beginning today. They're going to take place in Oman. It's going to take place between Iran and the U.S. only. It was going to take place in Turkey. It was going to have Egypt there and UAE and Saudi Arabia perhaps, who is a rival of Iran. But all these countries have made it clear, at least publicly, they don't think we should be taking action in the region. They want us to go slowly and go into talks. And those talks are going to be discussing only one thing. And I don't think this is acceptable, their nuclear program. So here to discuss this is somebody who really knows the region extremely well, worked there for years, Benjamin Hall. Ben, great to see you. Your thoughts about where this is heading as our assets spread out throughout the region?
Look, I think first of all, Iran is playing with fire at the moment. They've got these talks on Friday, but I think that they have shot themselves in the foot. They've made it very clear they're only going to talk about their nuclear program. President Trump and the administration made it very clear they want to talk about limiting their missiles. They want to talk about proxies. Ceasing their financing of proxies. Iran's not going to talk about that, and so they are coming to the table to discuss 2 different issues. And I think President Trump is not going to be fooled the way the Obama regime was fooled. Talk for 20 months over nuclear. Something has to happen quickly, and it won't. And so I think that Iran is on its knees. You see the protests, you see the economy all down low, you see the armada of U.S. missiles and ships around it. I think that the talks will go very well, and after that I think there will be some action.
So it looks like we bolstered up our defense platforms, and some of the targets of us could be our bases in Qatar. It could be some of our presence over in Iraq amongst the Iranian militias. But for the President of the United States, he also sent the C-130s there. They could be used for sea, ocean, for rescue operations. Do you believe our assets are in place? Do you believe the Israeli assets are in place?
We've been watching a lot of the planes flying over. We've, a lot of reports that the THAAD, the Patriot missile defenses are in place at this point. I think that the naval aspect is important because Iran's greatest weapon is still shutting the Strait of Hormuz. I think what they feel their greatest strength is if the U.S. attacks and they can shut the Strait of Hormuz, even temporarily, they can get oil prices up to $150, $200 a barrel. And at that point, they think President Trump might have to pull back. So what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz and the Navy, I think, is really critical right now. But yes, they're going to respond first of all by attacking missile bases in the U.S., or rather U.S. bases in the region. And I think the U.S. is prepared for that. Israel certainly is prepared for that, and their patriots are ready.
Here's the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, yesterday on what could be taking place in these talks and what we would do.
Look, I think in order for talks to actually lead to something meaningful, they will have to include certain things. And that includes the range of their ballistic missiles. That includes their sponsorship of terrorist organizations across the region. That includes the nuclear program, and that includes the treatment of their own people.
Treatment of their own people, they don't care. They were mowing them down, 30 to 50,000 dead in cold blood. So what could the targets be for the U.S.? Where would we aim?
Yeah, it's a big question, and I've been speaking and getting messages from people inside Iran, by the way, who say this is not finished, that they are cowering inside, they don't know how to counter the regime, they're praying for the U.S. to come and help them, they really want it. The big question is, how do you get rid of the IRGC? Look, you could perhaps, it's a big move, take out someone like the Ayatollah, they get rid of the theocratic regime, but the IRGC across a country the size of Iran which had 90 million people, is going to be very difficult. And I think the big question, as President Trump did with Venezuela, is can you create a system where you work with some of the powers that exist? Can you take out the leadership, perhaps some of the generals of the IRGC, and can you leave something in place that can work with the US? Could they work with some politicians like Rouhani and Mousavi, former prime ministers, who could perhaps work with the US? How do you create a system after limited strikes that creates a government that might work with the US?
Because we don't want to be picking up the trash. We don't want to be running that country. We don't want to have so-called regime change. But do you think the intelligence relies with the Israelis? Do you think, since they have identified the generals who to kill, do you think they've identified any politicians who possibly might be compliant?
There are some, and it's incredible to see how Mossad has operated inside Iran and how they're able to pick out targets how they want. But yes, many people talk about Rouhani, many people talk about Mousavi. These are politicians who, Mousavi is under house arrest, who could perhaps work well with the US, as well as some of the military forces that are still in Iran. And I know people want to hear that they're going to get rid of the military overall, but that can't be the case. As you said, you can't be picking up trash. So how do you go in? How does President Trump, if these nuclear talks don't go well, the talks don't go well.
They're not going to go well.
They're not going to go well, I suspect. But limited strikes, take out the generals, take out some theocratic leaders. What's in place? We need to see cracks forming within the government. Once you see one person move, then it opens up the floodgates. In 1979, it was the Air Force that moved, and that changed the board game. One group needs to stand up against the regime and say, you know what? We're going to lead a path forward. We're going to work with the US, and you've got to hope that happens.
We really got to do. We really have to, because it could really change the whole region for the better for the first time in our lifetime. Thanks so much, Ben.
There you have it, you guys. Now, man, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you appreciate the way that Trump has been handling this, drop a 47 in the comments. If not, drop a 46 for the previous administration. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of these articles. They're going to give us a little bit of detail as to what's going on here. As we're hearing, take a look here. The U.S. and Iran agree on holding talks, but not much else. The two sides remain at odds over what will be discussed in Oman, and talks on the brink. Now, this one actually coming out from an Iranian news outlet, and this one from an Israeli news outlet, all of them saying the same thing, that they think that these talks are destined for failure, that there will be nothing reached, that there is not going to be an agreement here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this so that way we can get you caught up on the latest here. Israel estimates slim prospect of U.S.-Iran agreement in Oman's talks. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi will meet with the United States President Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner in Muscat, Oman on Friday, tomorrow. You can see this article coming out today, February the 5th. Israeli officials estimated on Thursday today that it is unlikely that Iran and the United States will reach an agreement during the slated talks between senior officials in Oman on Friday. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi is set to meet with the U.S. President Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner in Muscat. And so we are hearing that they are estimating we're likely going to be going to war here. Iran is talking to us because it doesn't want us to attack them, Trump said on Thursday today. According to Al Jazeera, the U.S. is demanding that Iran dismantle its nuclear program, reduce the range of ballistic missiles so they cannot reach Israel, and grant a kind of amnesty to those arrested during the 12-day war and the recent protests. Now, it added that America was also requesting that the Islamic Republic reduce oil exports to China and strike an agreement that will end the current hostilities between Iran and America. Further, the report claimed that Qatar, Turkey, and Egypt proposed a framework agreement under which Iran would leave uranium enrichment at a 3% level and later be allowed to enrich it up to a 1.5% level overall. As for the 400 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%, this stockpile would be transferred to a third country. In addition, Iran will need to agree not to export weapons and technology to proxy groups and commit to refraining from using its ballistic missiles. And I think that this would be absolutely a reasonable ask. Let me know your thoughts. Let's pause for a second and discuss this, because what we're hearing is that they're saying that you would be able to enrich uranium up to 3% level, which is what you need for